likes me. Nobody likes me. But that's okay, cause I don't like y'all anyway. Man, I don't like y'all anyway.
We need to pay attention to all this stuff. And don't muddy the waters. Don't let your mind get sidetracked. Because you need to remember that when, it's going to be time to vote again soon. So it's going to be local elections, all this stuff, everything, all these elections. You have to remember that the Republicans would rather collude with Russians than collude with Americans.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Donald Trump is a white supremacist who enables white supremacists. No lie. I mean, that's accurate. It's an accurate assessment of the situation.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Dragnets. How do they work? Just say no. Yeah. Here's the problem with just saying no. You can go about your life trying not to do drugs, but you turn on the news and you see Wigmaster over there talking about public health emergencies. That's why drugs are hard to stop. Because of people like that. Big week. It's always a big week. Can't we please have an uneventful week? That's all I want. All I want is one.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Oh, Jay, why are you wearing that resist shirt? What are you resisting? Bunch of isms and trees. Bigotry, misogyny, racism, fascism, and sexism. The people here are the people on the South Shore, in the rich neighborhoods, the richer neighborhoods, not the poor neighborhoods, are brought up on bigotry, hatred, and classification of, societal roles.
Hey, yo. Who's in your house? Dyze in your house. What goes on, peeps? Welcome back into another content-packed edition of Dyze in your house. Here on East Coast Radio, I am Jay Porks. It is Friday. It is on or around 6 o'clock. You are tuning in on YouTube and on the podcast app. And I'm just glad that you're here to join me and, to keep up to date on all your Dyze in your house, all your J Porks podcasts, everything J Porks speaking into a microphone. What you need to do is head over to jporks.com, follow me on Twitter at jporks, follow me on Snapchat at Dyze in your house, and Instagram at jporks, even though, to be honest, my Instagram page has really turned into shrines to my cat, which I'm not apologizing for. I'm not sorry about that. Okay. So let's talk about what happened this week. This week was so big. This week was so humongous that I came to you on Wednesday with a special edition of Dyze in Your House. A midweek celebratory edition of Dyze in Your House. I did that. And after I did that, about 12 hours later, Jeff Sessions ruined my life. So let's explain what happened. As you know, one of the major things we fight for here at Dyze in Your House, at East Coast Radio, at the J Porks Podcast, basically if you have any sense in your life, in your mind, you think that there is no reason that marijuana should be illegal. No one has ever died from it. That's that. So over the past few years, some states have taken it upon themselves to let the citizens vote upon if they think that marijuana should be for sale for the recreational purposes. I understand that there's a whole community and there's a whole patient pool of people that need medical marijuana. And I get that. And the reason why I don't really rail for medical marijuana that much is because anybody that thinks that somebody who has cancer and is dying, somebody that the doctors have no answers, anybody thinks that those people shouldn't have medical marijuana, they're just not people you can reason with. But the adult use of marijuana, 18, 21 years old, I talked about it on Wednesday. Legalization recreationally is the only way to keep this drug away from kids. It's the only way to keep it out of the hands of kids. But what happened over the past few years is that states, one by one, decided to test the waters and legalize marijuana for recreational purposes, which means that if you're 21 or if you're 18, depending on the states, depending on what the state deems appropriate, you can buy marijuana in a store. That's right. Actually, I was in Colorado in April 2014, and I have the receipt hanging up on my wall right now, and I went and I bought some Mary Jane legally. And you know what? I didn't go out and kill anybody. I didn't go out and rob anybody. I didn't go out and join a gang. I didn't do any of that. You know what I did? I inhaled. And I went about my day. Cause I mean it's not a life inhibitor. Like people who sit around and drink a bottle of Jack Daniels every night. And that can ruin your life. That tears up your insides. That affects people around you. You start behaving differently. You hit your wife. You hit people in your car when you're driving and you're not supposed to. So Colorado, Washington State, they were the first to legalize it for recreational use. And the numbers are staggering because the use among teens has basically stayed where it is. And that's all you can expect. And opioid use, deaths from opioids are down in those states. And opioid use in general is down. And the abuse of prescription painkillers is down when there's recreational marijuana available. So anybody who thinks that those states did the wrong thing is looking at the wrong science, is looking at inaccurate science. Okay? So these states slowly did it. But as you know, marijuana is still a Schedule 1 drug under federal law, which means it has no medical value, which means the Food and Drug Administration, the government, has deemed that marijuana has no medical value whatsoever. Even though like 33 states have medical marijuana programs, no medical value. It's on the same level as heroin. Now, I don't know. I mean, you don't need to be a scientist. I don't need to be Bill Nye. You don't need to be you don't need to be Neil deGrasse Tyson. Easy for me to say. To understand that pot and heroin are not things that are equal. Okay? So yesterday morning, Jeff Sessions came out. So there was I keep getting ahead of myself. So it's still federally illegal. So there was something called the Cole Memo. The Cole Memo, the Deputy Attorney General under Barack Obama, somebody who worked under the Attorney General of Barack Obama. It wasn't Eric Holder. But it was the Cole Memo, and it came out and it said, listen, we understand that this is still illegal on a federal level, but U.S. attorneys, this is not something you prioritize. You don't start bringing charges against businesses operating in the law, where states have voted. So basically, the federal government was told not to go bust up those pot shops. Get it? Understandable. But at the same time, we still were in limbo. Because as that was going on, you say to yourself, okay, but the federal law hasn't been changed. So that means as soon as somebody like Jeff Sessions gets in here, they're going to rescind this Cole Memo. I'm surprised it took this long. So the Cole Memo is rescinded, which one of the panelists on MSNBC put it. He said it's not the dogs, the hounds are off the leash. They haven't been told to sick them yet, but the hounds are off the leash. These attorneys now do not have the memo. They do not have to follow the Cole memo, which is don't prioritize marijuana. Now they have the right to do that if they feel it's necessary. If they feel it. So basically, if some U.S. attorney feels like becoming famous tomorrow, he's going to lead a crew of tanks into Colorado, Nevada, Washington, and he's going to tear it down. Even though more than 60% of the country think that pot should be legalized for recreational use. There's a statement from Kirsten Gillibrand, and I want to read it to you. Because it's systemic, and it's everything that's wrong, and it's everything, the direction that we're going is wrong. So where is it at? Here we go. This is Kirsten Gillibrand. This reported decision is a direct attack on patients. Parents should be able to give their kids the medicine they need without fear of prosecution. Veterans should be able to come home from combat and use the medicine they need without fear of prosecution. That's cool, but I'm not a veteran, and I don't need medicine. So can I ask you something, Kirsty? Kirsty Gills, can I ask you something? What about recreational? Recreational. You know, the adult use of marijuana, because that's the future. 7 states have it already. So you think, so Kirsten Gillibrand spearheaded a Me Too movement to get Al Franken out of the Senate. Yet, she's got a platform that does not include the word recreational in front of the cannabis term? She tweeted later. She had a chance. She had a mulligan. She had a video. And it said Attorney General Jeff Sessions' decision to restrict states' ability to legalize and decriminalize marijuana is either willfully ignorant of the medical science or an act of greed on behalf of the pharmaceutical industry. In either case, it's an attack on patients, and it's wrong. What about an attack on responsible adults who don't want to drown their sorrows in a liquor bottle? What about that? But you think you're going to be the candidate. Now, it's an existential question, because I make fun of Cory Booker a lot for being a charter schools guy. But, I mean, he's also a legal weed guy. So, Cory Booker just moved ahead of Kirsten Gillibrand in the Dems for 2020 race. I want to play Senator Cory Gardner. I'm not stopping the podcast. Don't worry. I'm not stopping the podcast. This is not a cut. This is Cory Gardner on the Senate floor. Senator of Colorado. Republican Senator of Colorado. Let's hear what he had to say. Wait.
In July of 2016, when asked if President Trump, then candidate Trump, would use federal authority to shut down sales of recreational marijuana in states like Colorado, then candidate Donald Trump said, quote, "I wouldn't do that." When asked if he, then candidate Trump, thinks Colorado should be allowed to do what it's doing, then candidate Trump said, "It's up to the states, absolutely." And up until 8:58 this morning, that was the policy. One tweet later, one policy later, a complete reversal. Completely reversed. And without any notification, conversation, or dialogue with Congress. Senator Sessions told me that marijuana simply wasn't going to be on President Trump's agenda. That it was something that they weren't going to deal with. Now, perhaps the Department of Justice didn't think this would be a big deal. I understand Jeff Sessions, Attorney General Jeff Sessions' opposition to marijuana, of legalization of marijuana. I opposed the legalization of marijuana in Colorado, but this is about a decision by the state of Colorado, and we were told that states' rights would be protected, and not just by the Attorney General. We were told that by then candidate Donald Trump. What has changed the president's mind? Why is Donald Trump thinking differently today about what he promised the people of Colorado in 2016? Thousands of jobs at risk, millions of dollars in revenue, and certainly the question of constitutional states' rights, very much at the core of this discussion. Because I believe what happened today was a trampling of Colorado's rights, its voters, and sure, this was a heavily debated issue, something that I've already said that I opposed. But the people of Colorado spoke. They spoke loudly, and I believe if the same question were asked today, they'd even have more support for the decision they made back several years ago. Until Attorney General Jeff Sessions lives up to the commitment that he made to me in my pre-confirmation meeting with him, the conversation we had that was specifically about this issue of states' rights in Colorado. Until he lives up to that commitment, I will be holding all nominations for the Department of Justice. The people of Colorado deserve answers. The people of Colorado deserve their will to be respected.
Oh, Cory Gardner, my friends. Cory Gardner is a Republican senator from Colorado who opposed the legalization of recreational marijuana. He opposed it, and he's up there, and he's, you know what? I gotta give props to a Republican senator right now, and I've never thought I had to do that. He was against something, but his constituents weren't, so he fights for what his constituents want, holding up all nominations for the Department of Justice. And you know what? He's right. Even if you're somebody who is against the legalization of marijuana for recreational use, you can't be for the federal government and the Department of Justice using federal money, federal funding, to go into states and go knock down and shut down legitimate businesses, cost thousands of Americans jobs, and cost the taxpayers thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Colorado, in their first year of recreational marijuana sales, donated $1.9 million to the Department of Education in Colorado, because they have all this money that they can't put in the bank. So they need to figure out ways so they divvy it up. Law enforcement, education. Now, what you can do is you can be the federal government, and you can go in and you can say, okay, you know what? We got to figure out ways to take some of this tax money and funnel it into, like, you know, I don't know, the deficit that we all complain about. Well, they stopped complaining about the deficit because they cut taxes for the rich people. So they're not crying about the deficit this week. But they will when 2018 comes and they're about to get their blue tsunami swept. So we're at a crossroads here, folks. I talk about taking it to the streets a lot. If any legitimate marijuana businesses are shut down over the course of this regime, we will take it to the streets. To the streets. Charge your phones. Get on a second pair of pants. Put on the snowshoes. It's cold out there. Get ready. Taking it to the streets. I don't want anybody telling me, well, Jay, you're 30 whatever years old and you've been smoking your whole life. So, what's the big deal? The big deal is it's time for a change. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change, and we're gonna change it. We need Congress to act and move this off Schedule 2. Or we need Jeff Sessions to back up before he gets smacked up. You know what I'm saying? Also, one more thing before I get up on out of here. I know I'm on a 20-minute limit here, but I just want to say this. People are saying that this is a way for Trump to fire Sessions and then fire Mueller. The political games are over, okay? I don't have time. I don't have time to sit here and think of a political game to try to figure out ways that Trump could fire Mueller. I don't have time for that. I don't think that that's what it is. I don't think Trump is smart enough to have Sessions do something just to get fired. And if he was going to fire Sessions, he would have fired him before the Alabama special election and not lost a Senate seat. The hypocrisy in this country is amazing. So we got conspiracy theorists on conspiracy theories. Oh, well, Jay, how do you not see it? Trump's just gonna fire Sessions. He's gonna tell Sessions to leave pot alone. Sessions isn't doing anything. All he did was rescind the memo. He gave the U.S. attorneys the rights to do what they want to do. He didn't direct them to go after pot. So, there's gonna be no reason that Sessions should get fired, because Trump doesn't care about pot. If Trump cared about pot, it would have been a campaign promise. Remember, I said on Wednesday that no politician in New York was even talking about this. Well, maybe times have changed. Not Jilly Beans. Until she learns the word recreational, I do not want to hear anything from her. I just want her to explain to me every day why Al Franken doesn't have a Senate seat anymore before an ethics investigation. That's all I want to know. Let's see how smart that political play was when people find out that you had an A grade from the NRA like 3 years ago. It's just, let's just remember that. Guys, keep an eye on what the Justice Department is doing. If you know of any pot businesses that are being harassed or being threatened to shut down by the government, you need to get at me, and we need to take it to the streets. 2018, the year we marched for change. Jay Porks, Dyze in your house. Resist, remove, recreational. Late.